the fact that this happened, that John F. Kennedy was murdered, uh, just the fact that that happened, all future U.S. presidents, they know that that happened. So it's like not only did they kill John F. Kennedy, it's also like they sent a message, like a threat, right?
Well, if you think the President of the United States is really running things, you're sadly mistaken. Obama, for example, I have this from a very good source, but it's a secondhand story. After a dinner that he attended with some really high-priced donors, okay, about 12 of them, they were griping about how he was not being as progressive as they had hoped. And before he finished his dessert, he got up and he said, "Don't you people remember what happened to Dr. King?" Now, there were things that Obama approved having to do with Syria, ceasefire, for example, where the Air Force kind of thumbed their nose at him and blew the hell out of Syrian forces known to occupy given locations, killing 80 and wounding 100. After 11 months of tough negotiations between John Kerry and Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, and Gorbachev, Putin said, I don't know how to handle this because I don't know who's really in charge. The president and I agree on these things, and then nothing happens or something different happens. So what am I to think? Now, that's a real problem. And Putin, in connection with the summit, did say, it's domestic politics that are really pretty much running US policy toward Russia. And we just have to make our peace with that and go with our allies in China and elsewhere and just kind of relax and not try to provoke these people and not let them provoke us.
Okay. So when I read about the Cuban Missile Crisis and John F. Kennedy and his Joint Chiefs of Staff and stuff, they wanted him to go further. They wanted him to bomb Cuba. They wanted him to invade Cuba. They're pushing they're surrounding Kennedy and pushing all these hawkish foreign policies. And when I learn about that, it reminds me of like current modern day presidents, because I think that, there are times when these presidents have hawkish advisors around them, and they probably in their political calculations must know that. The Cuban Missile Crisis and the Cold War and the assassination of John F. Kennedy and the subsequent US foreign policy, including modern day US foreign policy, does it all come down to is it all really about the Mickey Mat and the Pentagon budget and these private companies, the weapon manufacturers, making money off of government contracts? Is that really what all of this is about?
Yes. That's an exaggeration, but not by much. I like Pope Francis, although I don't agree with some of the things he espouses. But when he came to speak before Congress, I remember it quite well. He said, the main problem in the world is the blood-drenched arms trade. And all those senators and all those representatives got up and, and then they looked in their pockets to see if that latest envelope from Lockheed was there and the one from Raytheon over here. I mean, it was giving hypocrisy a bad name. I mean, that's the problem. And we have to expose it, and we have to chase these people out of Congress and elect people that can change things. Because as long as people are beholden to the arms traders, the arms makers, I mean, Congress appropriates the money, right? The money goes to build the weapons. and the people profiteer on that. And then they sell the weapons, or they put the weapons in, and then they get some extra money and they give it to the congressman, put it in, a congressman appropriate. I mean, is this a great country or what? That's the way it works, okay? And we have to put a stop to that. We have to realize that when people talk about, well, opportunity costs, okay? Just look at what an F-35 already costs and doesn't work right. Now, opportunity cost, of course, is a fancy word of saying, how many schools could we build? How many dams could we repair? How many bridges could we build with the billions, with a B, of money that we waste on armaments, things that don't work? I mean, they persuaded Ronald Reagan that Star Wars could work, that we could knock down any Soviet missile that we wanted with this very sophisticated ABM program. It was a charade. Serious scientists told us it was crazy. We tried to tell Ronald Reagan, but he got in his head, no, if he can protect the country. And now, of course, the Russians have developed weapons that no matter how sophisticated ABM system could prevent from doing us in. Now, there's an open question as to whether the Russians would have developed those weapons were we not to have insisted on putting so-called anti-ballistic missile emplacements in Poland, in Romania, in the Black Sea, okay? And, 5 years ago, Putin said, look, we know what you're doing. Those holes in the ground can accommodate offensive cruise missiles, which in turn can destroy all our ICBMs in this part of Russia. So we know what the game is, don't do it. And so they continue to do that, and the Russians figure out these fancy weapons that can go around that, but they're kind of retaliatory weapons. And when you read Dan Ellsberg's book, Doomsday Machine, you got to read that. When you think how blithely some of our generals and admirals talk about the possibility, yeah, the fellow who runs SAC, who used to be SAC, Strategic Air Command, now it's called something a little different, STRATCOM, I think. He says, use of nuclear weapons is no longer out of the question. Matter of fact, it's quite possible. Well, I can imagine Putin bracing Biden and saying, is that your policy? Are you willing to use nuclear weapons first? And if not, can you shut that guy up like Truman shut MacArthur up, or can you not? Well, so far, Biden has shown he cannot. So what does that leave us? That leaves us with what the Germans call labil, a very delicate, very dangerous kind of situation where warning time now used to be 33 minutes. Now it's down to maybe 11 or 12. That's not enough time for a rational person to say, oh, those are but flock of geese, or no, that's a false alarm, or no, that's just one missile. They wouldn't be sending just one missile, So these things have happened. I've been there. I've seen how close we've come. And of course, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, if it weren't for one Navy captain who countervailed, who said, look, you other two Navy captains on this destroyer with nuclear torpedoes, you say we can pull that lever and launch those things. I say you can't because we have no instructions from Moscow. And they said, well, Kumo's down. We can't get instructions. We got to do it. And he said, no. Now, had he not been there to prevent that, there would have been there would have been a nuclear attack on several of our major ships, and the ball would have been going up. So that's how close we were in 62, for God's sake. Now, we have to kind of be aware of that and kind of realize how the Russians look at things, and the people in high places in our military that talk blithely about doing this or that to Russia or to China or to both. It's bad.